Where is Best Buy falling short on empowering employees?
Oh, well, that was the other reason I said I was a failure. The abstract construct that most of the years that I was in leadership at Best Buy, I wouldn't have really tried to do what we tried to do in the last 7 years, because you couldn't structurally figure out how you build a big organization and be able to hear from everybody in the organization, and especially when you couldn't communicate to them details. So literally back in the 80s when all those business books were written about, go talk to your people and you'll get the insight to run the business. I went and talked to the people in the field, and the insight I got was terrible, just terrible. And it wasn't because the people were stupid, but they didn't understand any of the stuff we knew in the center office. And so without that, they sort of developed things that just functionally couldn't work because they didn't know the other side of the story. Well, you know, today we got video magazines to go every department. We got if you're interested, you will quickly know more than the CEO does about whatever issue you're interested in, because it's all basically pretty much of an open book. So most of the time when I talk to somebody about an issue they're passionate about, they know more about the corporate side of it as well as what they know from the customer side. So the hypothesis there is the technology is literally that revolutionary, that even in a large organization, it could function like a small organization in terms of, because we started, the story I told you last night, we had 65 people when we started. So everybody knew everybody's kids, everybody could know everything. If you want to, at least within sections of the business, it's now possible for an employee in China to have great detail about the operating company and come up with a hypothesis that is better than we're getting from the center and the top of the organization. And so that was the hypothesis, to be able to get everybody involved. I think we made huge progress. I mean, we've got I think we've got 21 websites that employees have either designed for themselves or we've designed for communication between employees. Most of the innovation now coming to the company is coming from the line level. Some very, very thrilling things. I was at the offices this week and hearing some really wonderful stories about what's transpiring. But compared to, I think if you still went out and talked to employees, you're going to find all sorts of disaffected people and people who haven't been invited in. Because the biggest challenge of the whole thing is you cannot do this without on-the-ground leadership that touches the individual. I mean, you have to have a leader that cares about the individual they manage, each individual they manage. And without that, the invitation doesn't get to the people. You might find somebody entrepreneurial enough that they'll go through the walls, but it underplays what the potential is. And I think the big challenge for those leaving at 4 o'clock back to Minneapolis is to solve this puzzle. Since I quit, but to get consistently across the board leaders that have that kind of capacity to be, and that kind of interest.
Okay, the next one is, even with the success of Best Buy, what would you do differently? Pretty similar to, you said you wanted the challenging one, so I sorted.
No, that's great. I love the question. I really do, actually. I really love these questions. I think, well, obviously we've talked about some tangent. I'm trying to get this to more of an abstract in terms of what I do differently. One of the things that I was never effective at is explaining to shareholders what we were trying to do. Literally, one of the first meetings I had in New York as a CEO, I went out and described something like what I just described now to you. And the stock went dramatically down. and I tried and we tried to explain what the impact of this would be over time to a shareholder. And there were a few people, I think, in the community that accepted, but it really goes so much against the grain that, and we were so ineffective at communicating it that we never really broke through with this side of the story. And I do think at some stage, if we continue to develop what we started, the road we're on, At some stage, people will look at this a little like, say, a Google and say, well, duh, of course this is a really good idea. But at this stage, it's not seen as, it's seen as soft instead of hard. And I think it's actually hard logic.